In tonight's news, Israel resumes the bombardment of Gaza as a ceasefire with Hamas isn't extended. World leaders gathered in Dubai for a climate conference hear appeals to save the planet. And Hong Kong judges are to get a 3.6% pay rise backdated to April.
Dozens of Palestinians have been killed in Israeli air and artillery strikes across Gaza as a truce with Hamas ended after 1 week. The southern city of Khan Yunis suffered a large number of casualties and heavy damage. Israel blamed Hamas for the collapse of the ceasefire, saying it did not release all the female hostages it was holding. But the Palestinian group accused Israel of rejecting terms to free more hostages. Earlier, 30 Palestinian prisoners released by Israel arrived in the occupied West Bank city of Ramallah. They said Israeli soldiers fired tear gas and threw stun grenades at the bus which took them to freedom. Hamas released another 8 Israelis who were among the 240 people taken hostage during a raid which claimed 1,200 lives in southern Israel last month. Israel's military retaliation killed more than 15,000 Palestinians.
Dignitaries and leaders from over 100 countries are meeting in Dubai in yet another attempt to deal with climate change. They heard United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres demand drastic action.
Record emissions, ferocious fires, deadly droughts, and the hottest year ever. We are miles from the goals of the Paris Agreement and minutes to midnight for the 1.5 degree limit. But it is not too late.
The summit known as COP28 is taking place in one of the world's biggest oil-producing regions. Amid calls for less use of fossil fuels, Guterres addressed the oil sector.
So allow me to have a message for fossil fuel company leaders. Your old road is rapidly aging. Do not double down on an obsolete business model. Lead the transition to renewables using the resources you have available.
يأتي اجتماعنا اليوم في وقت.
United Arab Emirates President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan said climate change affects all aspects of life. He announced the establishment of a $30 billion fund to tackle the issue. The UAE has invested nearly $100 billion in financing clean energy and will invest an additional $130 billion over the next 7 years, he added. Sachin Katwi, Cable News.
With a show of hands, members of the Finance Committee approved a 3.6% pay rise for 166 judges and judicial officers, backdated to April the 1st this year. This will cost the government an additional $17.8 million. Special magistrates who deal with minor offenses will see their monthly salary rise by $3,470 to $99,335. The Chief Justice's pay will jump by $14,400 to $411,500 a month. The pay rises come as 56 out of 222 judicial officers' positions remain vacant. Many lawmakers do not think the pay rise is enough to retain talent, saying legal practitioners can get more in the private sector.
Year after year, we discuss the same old problem of not having sufficient judges, but we're not solving the problem. This is not sufficient an incentive for the legal professionals in the private sector to join you, because once they've joined the judiciary, they would lose their client base. There is only one pathway for them to go.
Eva Yam, the acting director of administration, said the government conducts a study on the pay trend for private sector legal practitioners every 5 years. The next round will be in 2025. Maisie Mok, Cable News.
The High Court has rejected a challenge to the nomination mechanism for district council elections. Kwok Chak-kin, dubbed the King of Judicial Reviews, said the system violated the Basic Law and the Bill of Rights Ordinance. Handing down judgment this afternoon, Judge Russell Coleman noted the reduction of directly elected councillors, but said the hurdles are still high for candidates. He added all members of the 3 district committees that nominate candidates were appointed before the system was revamped. Kwok said he would meet his lawyer before deciding whether to appeal.
Hong Kongers have been warned to be aware of fake insurance salespeople on social media platforms. The insurance authority said it alerted police after victims were tricked into buying motor insurance policies after being contacted on Facebook or WhatsApp by people claiming to be intermediaries of Da Sing Insurance. After paying online, they found that their cars were not insured by the bank's insurance unit. Customers were advised to make payments through official methods specified by the insurer. Eleven people were slightly injured when a minibus crashed into the back of a double-decker in To Kwa Wan during the morning rush hour. Most of the victims were in the minibus. The vehicle was reportedly unable to slow down when it ran into a KMB bus near the fire station on Ma To Chung Road at around 7 a.m. Oil that spilled from the crash made the road slippery, and it had to be covered with sand. Some lanes were closed for an hour.
Delegates from China's manned space program, including 4 astronauts, wrapped up their 4-day visit to Hong Kong by touring landmarks. The 17 members had a chance to admire Victoria Harbour during their ferry ride from Wan Chai to Tsim Sha Tsui. The gloomy weather did not dampen their excitement. Some headed to the deck to get snapshots and a closer look of the city's skyline. On disembarking, one member expressed his satisfaction. They then took an open-top double-decker near the ferry pier, where dozens of people greeted them. After touring Yau Tsim Mong district, the astronauts and space experts visited the Museum of Art, before heading to the Palace Museum in the West Kowloon Cultural District. This afternoon, Chief Executive John Lee hosted a farewell ceremony for the delegation at Government House. He thanked the astronauts for making the nation proud, adding that Hong Kong is looking forward to rolling out the red carpet for them again. Delegation leader Lin Qiqiang expressed his gratitude for the hospitality they received. He hopes that the names of the successful candidates for payload specialists will be announced before the end of the year. Some Hong Kongers are on the shortlist. After leaving Hong Kong, the team headed to Macau for a 3-day visit. Janice Low, Cable News. Horizon Robotics, China's leading provider of energy-efficient computing software for smart vehicles, has signed a memorandum of cooperation with Hong Kong's Science and Technology Park. The company will set up an innovation and development center in the park in Tai Po next year. It will promote the SAR's development in microelectronics and smart cars by investing $3 billion and recruiting hundreds of people by the end of 2028.
pair of giant pandas in Britain will return to China soon. Visitors to Edinburgh Zoo were able to see Yangguang and Tiantian for the last time yesterday. The pair arrived in Scotland in 2011 under a 10-year agreement, which was extended for 2 more years. In recent weeks, zoo staff have been trying to make the pandas get used to crates for the long flights to China.
I feel like this day has always been in the future coming, but now it's getting closer and closer, and now it's finally here. Pandas are in storybooks when you're a kid. They're cuddly toys. They're such an iconic species for conservation, and they just get into the hearts of people. They've been so popular with the visitors here. People come from all over the place, all over the world to come and see them.
Scientists have made an amazing discovery. Chinstrap penguins sleep more than 10,000 times a day, but just for 4 seconds a time. The species is found in the southern Pacific and Antarctica. They take very short naps to keep an eye on their young and protect their eggs from predators. In total, they doze for around 11 hours a day, which researchers say is sufficient to keep them functioning.
The smaller species of penguins, like the chinstraps and the other ones that we have here, will either sleep standing up with their head tucked underneath their flipper, or they'll actually lay down. We typically see them lay down when they're starting to take a longer nap, but mostly during the day, their short naps, they're standing up.